Hey guys, time for lesson number 11 and part 4 of our little triad mini-series. Also, the Marari is back. Here we go, guys. So, we've talked about drop 2 concepts before, but applied to 4-note chords, and we touched on it very briefly. Today, I want to talk about applying it to triads as well, all right? Because again, we're kind of putting ourselves in the situation where you have to find a part for a tune, and maybe you try it like, I'm gonna just stick with this very floaty sound I got going on here, like this one. See, there's 2 things that I feel aren't really cool about this a particular voicing for the song we're talking about. By the way, the song is called Home by Elin Bell, and this is my my sort of guitar arrangement of it for the duo version that we performed a couple of times together. And first of all, it's a duo version, so this is pretty small sounding. You know, the root is too high and the voicing sort of too combined to one area. So what I did is I played it way bigger, a little lower overall, but also way more spread out. Because the way you do drop 2 voicings is you basically take your close position triad. In this case, it is the root position of that of this particular A minor chord, and you take the second note from the top, which, if we're talking triads, is just the middle note, right? The third, and you move it down an octave, which gives you this voicing. That would be a drop 2 triad. But of course, because we've taken the middle note of our root position and we've put it on the bottom, now we're in first inversion. Right? To get to the root position triad, we would actually have to start from the second inversion, which in this case would be way up here, right? Because in the second inversion, excuse me, the middle note is the root. So if we drop that down, we get this chord. And I literally just took that down the octave to right here. All right? We can do the same with all inversions though, of course, whereas this, which we can take down here with the open strings, that's the root position. This would be the first inversion, and then this one would be the second inversion. I hope you can see that on there somehow. If you don't, go ahead, reconstruct it. It'll be good for you. All right, so those are the minor variants. If we go for the major variants, let's go right down here to this root position F major triad, which was actually the first chord I played. Root, 5th, and the 3rd on top, again derived from the second inversion, close position, right? And the next one is going to be, and then I'm moving up to right here to the second inversion. Second inversion is a little uncomfortable to actually execute, but it sounds really sweet, and if you want to voice lead properly, you'll have to use it. Now again, you can use those drop 2 triads just like the regular triads. You can apply them to sort of the situation where you want to stay in one area of the fretboard, because these chords can not only be used like in a duo setting, like I am in this particular song. You can also use them in a full band setting that is a little more sparsely arranged, because it has a really beautiful open sound, but it extends a lot further than some of those reductions we talked about in yesterday's lesson. All right, so let me walk you through this part, and you guys can see what's going on here. Right, so I'm playing a root position F major chord down here. Then I'm going to root position A major chord. And I'm not really doing this so much for outlining a melody. I'm actually doing it because I want the root notes to be in the bass, because this is a duo version and I sort of don't want the sound of an inversion in here. All right, so I go back down to this one. And here comes an interesting part where I'm actually outlining a melody. Right, the sort of ascending line. And really, what I was outlining here is the ascending bass line, but I decided to harmonize it with full chords because I thought it sounded really beautiful. So this is what I'm doing. And now I'll talk you through it. This is actually a root position A minor triad in S drop 2 voicing, just like this guy, or this guy. But I have moved the middle note over one string up here, which is something I sometimes like to do when I'm dealing with this lower, with these lower 4 strings, because it gives a little more clarity to the chord. Compare this to this, right? It's really subtle, but it can make all the difference, all right? And then I go up to a first inversion G major, to a root position C. Then I go up to a first inversion C, and finally to an F major, root position again. And I'm voicing all of these with the middle note on the D string, not on the A string, for that little extra of clarity that it provides me. And then I just sort of kicked in those 2 harmonics up there. And then it's actually a really similar thing, but sort of changed up the bass line a little bit and ultimately descends down to F now instead of ascending. So this is again the A minor first or A minor root position. This is the C major root position. This is the G major first inversion, and then we go down to this guy. Which I'm actually thinking of as something that I don't mean here, but it would be an E minor in first inversion, right? This is an E minor first inversion. This would be the root position. This is the first inversion of it. I'm actually thinking of it more... Doesn't matter. Here we go. And then we go down to the F. And now I'm doing a little thing from the 9, or the sus2, to the major third. Doing a similar thing up here on the root position D minor chord. 9 up to the minor third, and then I'm doing the same on the A minor chord down here. And that repeats. And then we head of elsewhere, all right? Go check out the song. It should still be available on some platforms. She's now working under a new moniker, which is Nyle, N-Y-L-E. You can check that out too if you want to, but this is what we used to do back then. So those are drop 2 triads. Hugely useful tool, I find, if you're well, a pretty mellow songwriter sort of context. You can apply it to, you know, slightly wilder music, but like I said, it does lend itself better to sort of sparsely arranged tunes where you actually have the space to do this in, and where you can also sonically benefit from the openness these voicings bring with them, because they're so far apart. The individual notes are so far apart. All right. Really cool concept. Sounds a little brainy at first, but once you start messing around with these, I think you'll find them fairly intuitive. A lot of them look a little bit like big bar chords, just with a couple of notes thrown out. Just sort of see what parallels you can discover there. All right. Thank you guys. This was lesson number 11, and I'll see you guys for number 12 tomorrow. Bye.